If we lose connection to something greater than us, the problems of our life will eat us alive. That's why when you go out and you take a walk, all of a sudden that thing you're stressed about doesn't hold on to you anymore. This is why spirituality is the most important thing you can devote yourself to, because life is freaking crazy. There are wars going on. There are crazy political clauses being passed. The truth is, the ultimate thing we can focus on in this lifetime is liberation. We are here for liberation. We're here to move past the noise and realize that everything in this life is a reflection of us. Whatever you focus on, the projector screen of your life will say, oh, you want to focus on this? Let me bring it more to you. The only way that we can end anything is to create the opposite. So the only way we can end war is to create peace. The only way we can end poverty is to create abundance.
Trust flow, surrender, let go. Yeah. Trust flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for. Trust flow, surrender, let go. Trust flow, surrender, let go. Trust flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for.
Welcome back, everyone, to our Mastering Spirituality Summit. I'm so excited that we get to bring you in studio in a wonderful conversation that we're going to have about spirituality, modern definitions of it, and having fun while you're on the path of mastering spirituality. Sahara Rose is joining me. If you're not familiar with her, Highest Self podcast, the #1 spirituality podcast with over 35 million downloads, has been hosted by her, has all of the greatest minds in spirituality, where she's been able to actually tap into their brain and bring some modern wisdom to the masses. She's also written several books, bestsellers, including Discover Your Dharma Forward by Deepak Chopra, and is now running the Dharma Coaching Institute, helping others discover their passion, their purpose, and is truly on a mission to empower particularly women to live themselves as rose gold goddesses, particularly.
And before we get into this episode, be sure to hit subscribe. That allows you to stay in the loop for future conversations. This podcast is also on YouTube, so you could be watching us in person, Spotify video, and the Apple Store. So be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with future conversations, and let's get into this one.
Sahara, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here, and to everyone who's sitting with us energetically right now.
Yes. And, on this summit, it's been a fascinating discovery. We've been really discovering spirituality and all these aspects. And before we get into the topics for today, I want to get into the topic of you, because everyone on this platform has a story where they made it their dharma to speak about spirituality. And I'd love to hear your journey of when did you dedicate yourself to this in a powerful way?
So I find that most of us who are healers, we go into it because we need that for ourselves at first. But it's not so much about finding our purpose, but it's about remembering it. So for myself, when I was a young kid, I was very connected to spirit naturally. I would see things that I wasn't sure, was that a human or was that a ghost? And it would be very overwhelming for me sometimes. And there was actually a specific moment that my kind of spiritual gifts went underground. So when I was 10 years old, I lived near Salem, Massachusetts. That's where I grew up. And so I was obsessed with the Salem witch trials. Like, I feel like I was there in a past life. And I was obsessed with going to Salem, getting spell books and doing rituals and working with the elements, and, just coming through me so naturally. I know a lot of us spiritual people have felt that kind of resonance before. We're like Halloween people, because it's sort of the only spiritual thing we're kind of approached with when we're that young. And when I was 10 years old, a group of kids that were afraid of what I was doing threw me down a hill, and I got a concussion. And as I got up, I heard them laughing, saying, "Burn the witch at the stake." Oh, shit. And it was in that moment that I created a belief that it is not safe for me to be spiritual. And after that, I stopped wanting to connect with that part of myself. I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to be safe. And I let go of that for over 10 years. And it wasn't until I started practicing yoga that I started to realize in these yoga classes, I'm having these thoughts of my childhood and memories and these realizations, and I'm feeling so much different. And so I just became obsessed with knowing everything about yoga and Bhagavad Gita and eventually Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is the sister science of yoga based on the mind-body connection. And at this time, I was raw vegan because, it was like 2010 vibes. And if you're healthy, you're raw vegan. And my body really started shutting down. First, my digestive issues, then hormonal issues. I didn't get my period for over 2 years. I went to many different doctors, and they said, your body's gone through perimenopause and you're going to have to be on hormone replacement therapy and take antidepressants for your gut issues and a whole host of prescription medication. And intuitively, I just knew there had to be something deeper that created this. So I just became obsessed with Ayurveda because it was Ayurveda that showed me that there's these different mind body types. And mine, which was the air mind body type, mentally is someone who's creative, spiritual, thinks outside the box, big picture thinker. Also can get overwhelmed, anxious, have lots of ideas and not know how to finish them, but also physically cold, dry skin, slow digestion, getting bloated, gas, constipation, low hormones. And that was the first time I realized this is all connected, that your physical symptoms are a reflection of what is deeper going on within. They are your soul telling you something is out of alignment, pay attention. And so as I'm diving deeper into Ayurveda, I'm realizing the thing I'm not paying attention to is I don't even really know what my purpose is. I've never thought about this before. And so this term came, dharma. Dharma is your sacred, unique space in the universe. You know, if this entire universe was a puzzle, it's your unique place in the jigsaw puzzle of life. And I started to ask myself, what is my dharma? Do I even have a dharma? And in this quest really began my deeper spiritual journey. And of course, when we go on a spiritual journey and we really tell consciousness, I'm here to rise up in higher levels than I ever have before, then everything that is based in delusion, scarcity, false beliefs starts to crumble away. So my relationship with my family, you know, became very prevalent for me of their like, at this point, you're a hippie. Why don't you get a normal job? I was living in India and at this point trying to write a book on Ayurveda and get it out there and getting rejected by publishers. And they're like, you're delusional. This is never going to happen. You need to get on a serious path. And part of me felt this guilt of my parents, you know, they immigrated from Iran and I'm like, they sacrificed so much for me to be here. Maybe I just owe them, you know, my like life's purpose. I'll give that thing to them. Another part of me was like, you went through these health challenges for a reason. You were here to share in a greater way. And I didn't know how that was going to happen, but every single time I would take one step back, I would take 2 steps forward. Every time I would get really silent with myself, I knew, I don't know what this is going to look like, but I can't go back and live a life that is out of alignment with who I am. So I needed to come face to face with all of my own conditioning, the need to have approval of my family, the need to be on a safe and stable path where everything is planned out, you know, our school system, everything. We're on this conveyor belt of life. And when we have a spiritual awakening and we get off, it's like, which way do I go? And that journey took me years until eventually I wrote that book. And after getting rejected by 30 plus publishers, I got a book deal. And right before the book was going to be printed, I was at a conference and Deepak Chopra happened to be there on stage. And I walked up to him and I sent him my book. And we can go into the full story of how that happened. He ended up writing the foreword of that book. And I ended up writing 3 more books with foreword by him and going on this journey, which has had many ups and downs, but now I can say I'm fully living my dharma. And for people who are wondering, is this even for me? Like, I just sometimes think you're either like Justin Bieber, someone with this crazy gift, or you're like the mere mortals like us. But the truth is every single person on this planet was born for a unique reason. And the very fact that you're listening to this is your soul wanting you to remember why you are here. And it's not something you have to figure out outside of you, but it's something that you already know. And so the spiritual path is not about getting anywhere, but it's about coming back to the truth of who you are. Are you calling in your spiritual soul fam? Those besties who get you on a ride or die level, people who you can gather with under the full moon and talk about your intuition and what you're manifesting and help rise each other up rather than tear each other down. If you are done with the sister wound, with gossiping, with all of the ways that women have been taught to see each other as competition, but rather you're ready to gather in sacred circle, to share what you're calling in, to dance, to sing, to breathe, to dive deep into the ancient and sacred ways, then Rose Gold Goddesses is for you. Every single month, we gather in a sacred Zoom circle where we hold space, we tune into the astrology of the month, and we do practices like rituals, ceremonies, dance, movement, and so much more. So if you're ready to connect your intuition, your embodiment, and do so with community, with soul fam who get you on a deeper level, then I invite you to join Rose Gold Goddesses. You can find all the information below to join us for our next circle, and I can't wait to meet you inside.
We start with fire right out the gate.
That's the first step of alchemy, the fire. Everything needs to be forged in the fire. How do you know about alchemy?
I'm not familiar with it. Tell me more.
So a lot of us have heard of like the alchemist and the word alchemy. And alchemy comes from ancient Egyptian cosmology. And essentially it's how lead turns into gold. It's the different stages that we go through. So at first, if you take something like lead is the shitty experience in life. It's the obstacle. It's the thing that it's not going well. That is actually the fertile soil for you to become everything that you right now think you're not ready to be yet. So that vision that you have for your life, maybe 40 years from now, that's actually right around the door once you go into the muck. Most of us think, oh, I would love to, be able to live in Bali like you, but I can't because I have this job. I have this responsibility. I have this whatever thing. Well, that's not the obstacle. If you go right into it, it's the exact curriculum that your soul wrote out for you, because who you become in the process of moving through this thing is the preparation ground for you to have more than what you think right now that you desire. And that's the beauty. So when we go through stages of alchemy, the first stage is the fire. When you really declare and decide, when you hit that rock bottom and you're like, something needs to change, the old world is burned away. Divorce, losing friendships, getting fired from jobs, health scares. These things are all, we will experience the level of rock bottom that our soul needs for us to start to listen. And from that fire then comes the water. That thing just happened and now you feel. After my divorce, I went through a very painful divorce 2.5 years ago. And after finding out about his infidelity, which was completely unbeknownst to me, for 6 months, I was crying every single day. And I would ask myself, why am I crying so much? These guttural tears. And what came through is, these are all the tears that you never let yourself cry your entire life. So that's the second stage, the stage of the water, for you to feel not just your life, all of the generations that came before you. You are crying your parents' uncried tears. You're feeling their unfelt rage. And not just your parents, your grandparents, your entire lineage. For many of us, we are the first lineage breakers in our family who are feeling the things that have collectively been going on for maybe thousands of years. Maybe in your lineage, it's a story of women being abandoned, or addiction, or poverty, or war, or, a whole host of fun things that we're born into. And I really believe that right now we have chosen to incarnate at this time with tools like this summit for us to share consciousness. So for us to do all of the deep generational routing work that it simply was not safe to do. It was not safe for your grandmother to sit in bed and cry all day. She had to take care of her children. Mm-hmm. It was not safe for people to feel their rage. They would have been cast out of society. So the water, and then after the water comes the air. That's when we start to communicate, when we start to share, when we start to give voice to these realizations that we have. We put it into form. Then after that comes the earth. We actually start to make that new thing. So we start to become this new version of ourselves that we could have never become without that fire. And then from there, it starts to ferment. It starts to breed its own, your trial and error. You become this new version of yourself. And then the next stage 6, you refine. You try this out. Okay, it's a little bit this, a little bit of that. And you're in this stage of refinement until the gold comes. And all of a sudden, it's when you look around you and you're like, I am in an entirely different human experience. Like that version of me, I remember being that, but that wasn't me. It's like a cat. You have an entirely different life. And so people think Egypt was about death, like physical death. No, it was about dying in this life. If you know how to die well, you have many opportunities in this lifetime to have entirely new realities.
Okay. As you're explaining this, I'm thinking about the most memorable moments that have made transformation within me. And as you're going through these elements, I'm just like, oh, I remember the fire. I remember the water. I remember the air. And so I have a feeling that for most people who are listening in are probably thinking of that moment, that big change happened. And it's usually through a lot of pain, as you've said. Now, question for you is that, people are here on a summit for mastering spirituality. It's almost already a proactive step. And I've noticed that most of the times that big disastrous fires happen is because I ignored being proactive and I let things get worse and worse. And so by coming here, discovering spirituality, discovering these new models, is that a form of pain reduction or fire reduction, or are we still supposed to go through some major fire to be able to get to the next stage?
How much time do we have here? So let's first talk about what is karma, but I like to say it in the actual
I was
Sanskrit
like,
name.
you have dharma and karma.
Dharma and karma.
Nice.
So most of us think karma is what goes around comes around, and that could be an aspect of it. But the word karma really means action. If we just took the straight word in Sanskrit, it's action. So looking at its relationship with dharma. So your dharma is your soul's purpose. It's the big reason why you're here. It's not just what you do. It's who you are. It's how you express, right? We can both host podcasts, but the way that you express it is differently than I'm going to express it, the way that you're going to express it. So it's really your unique magic sauce, the way that you see the world, and it's in everything that we do. So you were born already living your dharma as a child. That's why some of us as kids were very creative, expressive, the air archetype, Vata. Some of us were more fiery. We love to play outside and, get rough and do competitive board games. Fire energy, Pitta. Some of us we want to play with the adults and listen to their conversation, or play house, play with the animals, take care of things, do things with our hands. Earth energy, Kapha. So we were born with the unique elements that we need that are, if you think about The Sims, right? Your soul chose the perfect Sims character to be you. So if you ever played this computer game I used to play back in the late 90s, you're like, how extroverted are you going to be? How organized are you going to be? How adventurous are you going to be? So you're set up with these unique aspects of yourself, but then you have the free will of how you're going to play this game. So your dharma is who you are. For example, I'm meant to share spiritual wisdom. It's very much my dharma. So I'm naturally going to be born more with a desire to want to share and express. Someone else's dharma may be to create new school systems. So they're going to be very attuned to children and education. Someone else's dharma may be creating a new food system. So they're going to be very attuned to food and plants and digestion. Someone else's may be hosting events. They're very tuned into the collective group frequency. So it's what naturally comes through you. I have many, many tools to discover your dharma, and in my book, Discover Your Dharma, and we can share other resources. So you were born on this highway towards your dharma. Now, as you go through life, and this life has a lot of karma to begin with, society, culture, politics, we're not born in a clean slate. You also chose the soul, the family you're born into. So the karma of your family. So these are all different set points, preferences, codings that you're born into. So I have this dharma, this universal experience, and I'm brought into this karma. Now, as I'm going down this highway towards my dharma, I love to sing, I love to perform, I love to do these things. I'm going to be a singer. Then they say, that's never going to happen. Get realistic. You get a little older. Well, what are you going to do out of these 4 jobs? Oh, you like to talk? Be a lawyer. It's like that life game. It's like, choose career, the closest one towards you. And so slowly you start to notice everyone you know is getting off these exits off the highway. And before you know it, you're maybe graduating from college. You're, kind of starting to get scared. If I don't get off one of these exits, does Dharma land even exist? Is it even possible to make money doing what I love? Or is this just a Santa Claus story they tell you, and then you got to get older and realize, no, everyone hates their job. And so we're noticing my friends, my family, everyone we know is getting off these exits. And maybe if I don't get off this exit now, it's going to be too late. And so we get off. Your family will be more proud of you if you do this. You'll make more money if you do that. You're supposed to do this. And so the universe responds. The universe responds in the language that we humans tend to respond to the most. Pain. And so first, though, it goes easy on us. It goes tap, tap, tap. Something's off. You're feeling a little anxious. You're feeling a little doubt. Something is just not feeling expansive. They're feeling an energy of contraction as you're moving off of this exit. But most of us don't listen to that. It's like, that's life. So we keep going off of this exit. And then the universe says, okay, I guess I'm going to have to get a little bit louder. Anxiety, panic attacks, things not going your way, health challenges. So often it starts with our digestion, because how we digest life is our digestion. So we continue to go off the exit, but then we see everyone around us is struggling with these exact same things. Everyone's anxious. Everyone has digestive issues. Everyone hates their job and their life. And this is just, I guess, how it is. So drink more coffee, take more Adderall, numb more, choose your poison. So we continue to get off of that exit until the universe says, okay, girl, I'm have to get really loud for you to listen. Collision, on your knees moment, something so big that you have no choice but to pay attention. You know, as Rumi says, when you're brought to your knees, you learn how to pray.
Oh, nice.
But some of us, we still don't listen. Some of us live in a series of unfortunate events. Maybe you have a friend. Collision after collision after collision. Never once questioning, maybe something within me needs to change. It's just how life is. But actually, the universe is not making this collision, this energy, by the way. It's karma. The definition of karma in this is bounded action by the universe. It's the barricades on the side of the highway. It's here to protect you. It's here to say, this resistance is here because you're not going the right way. Right? You get off that exit first, it kind of shakes. You don't listen. It starts to scoot your wheels. You don't listen. You'll crash into the barricade. It's exactly the same thing energetically. But most of us were like skeeching down the side of the thing. It's like the whole time. It's like, no, because you're supposed to go on cruise control. So when you hit that level of rock bottom that your soul needed, you found out about that betrayal, you're finally fired from that thing, you finally burnt out from that company, you know, said the thing and the fire came. It's so you can make that U-turn. And for the first time, you start to listen to yourself, not the people around you. And you start to make your way back towards what feels expansive. And the universe starts to respond to you in a different language, synchronicities. Mm-hmm. And the universe starts to say, oh, you like these numbers, 1111? Let me show you some 1111. Oh, the words of this song are exactly what you need to hear? Let me play that song for you right now. Oh, you overheard that conversation and it was exactly what you needed to listen to at that time? The universe starts to get very loud in its communication. And then all of a sudden you're like, was it always like this? Or did something change? Finally, you're open, you're listening. And the more you listen, the more it can speak to you. And now when you're moving towards your dharma, the universe is like, finally, you're doing what you came here to do, what your soul incarnated to create and be, the expression that only you can be on this planet. Finally. So we're going to support you because this actually helps the evolution and expansion of humanity, which is the only goal of this planet. It's not about your happiness, actually. It's about the evolution, expansion of consciousness. That's why we're here, to be full spectrum. And so when we're living our dharma, we're being the very unique quadrant of the universe that only we can be. So the universe supports us. Synchronicities, meeting the right people at the right time, saying the right thing. And all of a sudden, from going from series of unfortunate events, we're not just on cruise control, we're in the back seat. Mm-hmm. And the universe is driving us. And it's taking us places we could have never imagined ourselves. And we're like, I'm in Dubai. I'm in Bali. I'm in Paris. What's going on? I'm meeting these people, having these great conversations. I got paid to do that. I was just being myself. And you're like, wait, is this life possible? And so I remember in my own journey, you know, I can share with you the crazy story of me meeting Deepak. It was a huge synchronicity. But I remember after getting rejected by publishers, being broke, living at my grandma's house, my parents disowning me, like nothing was working in my life. And by the way, I also want to note, sometimes we need those periods too of like, are you going to trust? And it's a very different frequency. The resistance of karma and the resistance, which is like those stages of, I know I'm on the right path. It just hasn't physically manifested yet. I want to say that because I feel like a lot of times we think the path of least resistance is to just go with the flow, and the flow being whatever circumstance I'm in. The flow being not my flow, the flow of my societal conditioning, right? And that's what happens when people are like, you know, nothing's going to change. This is just how my life is. I'm going with the flow. You're not going with the cosmic flow, the ultimate flow. You're actually just living in karma. But I like to think of this analogy of, imagine your dharma is like the open waters in the middle of the ocean, but you have to go through that ocean break, right? So you're in the sand. Everyone you know is in the sand. And people are like, there are no open waters out in the ocean. That's a myth. I tried going out there once and it was wave after wave. And I came back here for safety and I got this job and I'm never leaving it, you know? But when we go out into that break and maybe the first one knocks us off, we're hit back to the sand, but we're like, I know there's something there for me on the other side. And you learn to become a better swimmer and you learn how to duck under the waves. And maybe you go back, you get tools. You got tools like this summit. You got a surfboard, and you learn how to maneuver through those waves. And before you know it, you're out in these open waters, and you want to scream to the people, they exist. They really exist. You just had to go through the waves, but they can't hear you because they're on the other side, still in their own reality. It's a different dimension. And so now you're in that path of least resistance. You're in that feeling of the synchronicity and the flow and the universe speaking to you. In these open waters, you're seeing things you could have never seen before. But to get to the path of least resistance, you first must follow the path that you are personally right now the most resistant to.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So this Mental Health Day, we wanted to just shout out the therapists who have supported us in life's toughest moments. I know I was going through just like dating ups and downs. It's hard, it's challenging. You want to love and you're not sure. And talking to a therapist really helped me get through that chapter. Thank Goddess. So this Mental Health Day, we're celebrating the therapists who've helped millions of people take a step forward. And if you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you get started on that journey. They have a therapist match commitment. So they do the matchmaking for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. Plus, listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Sahara. That's 10% with your own licensed therapist according to a quiz, so you can have your soulmate person helping guide you through life's problems at betterhelp.com/Sahara. You can find that link in the show notes.
So trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance. Close your eyes and listen.
I am so happy you opened up on that, because that was the exact thing that I was scared, is to see what's the difference between the resistance from when you're on the wrong path versus the trials that come when you are going towards that right path. Are there more tools for you to detect? Like, is it just an inner knowing? Like
Your dharma?
yeah, like I'm
Just dedicated my life to it.
I know.
Let's go.
So I'm just like, what I'd love to know is if there a tool or a ritual that someone can be like, hey, yes, this is a wave. This is not me stalling in the sand.
So there are 5 stages of dharma discovery. So the first stage is just to believe that you have a dharma. If we don't believe that we have one, nothing else is going to work. I could be speaking to you all these beautiful poetic things and nothing's going to come through until you genuinely believe, I was born here on this planet at this time. Look at the reason for this flower and the way that it feeds the bee and the way that the bee moves and it pollinates and it creates. There's a purpose to every single thing in nature, and I'm a part of nature. So maybe there's a purpose to me. So stage 1 is just believing. And by the way, most of the population is still not there. Still not there. They were before the descent of consciousness, but past 2,000 years, they're not there. So if you're there, you're listening to this, welcome. Then that brings us into stage 2. How do I become my best self? Self-improvement. So that's when you go into personal development. That's when you start taking care of your health, right? Because if your digestive issues are whack and your mental health and all these things, we're not going to ever be able to remember the truth of who we are. We start to go into tools like meditation and breath work and, personal development and NLP and all the different so all of the self-help space is here in stage 2. Now notice it's stage 2, I said 5. So that's where most people stop. How do I become my best self? But then what happens, and I have a feeling if you're listening to this, you've had this, because this is called mastering spirituality. So, so you start to realize, you're doing all these things because you have your 10-step morning routine and you're drinking your matcha, but you're like, there's got to be more to this. And you start to realize that maybe I am not just a mind and a body to improve, but rather I am a soul to know. Maybe there was nothing ever wrong with me, but actually I just didn't know me. And this is the spiritual awakening. When we start to realize there is so much more here. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, that's me. There is so much more here. And that's when you start to really ask, who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose of life? Is there free will or destiny? I feel like an old soul. Why is this happening? All these questions start coming up. And this is the path of the mystic. This is age old. These questions are a very important part of our human evolution. And so in spiritual awakening, we start to become aware of energy, of people's auric fields. We start to become attuned to the unseen. It's far less about the physical and so much more about the metaphysical. So you might go into astrology and human design. You might go into Vedic spirituality, Buddhism. I mean, it is Disneyland out here. And so in the spiritual awakening, what can happen is the spiritual overwhelm of there are so many tools and so many things. And oh my God, I'm never going to get to the bottom of this. And so it's an exciting time and also a very overwhelming time. And another shadow that can happen is separation. We are awake, so we need to wake up the sheeple. We need to get them up because society is going to shit. And if we don't wake them up, then everything's going to... And that feeling of like, because all of a sudden you're seeing all these things you didn't see before, but that can create this separation that happens. And so as we go deeper into our spiritual journey, we start to make it less about mentally knowing all the spiritual constructs, and we start to really come into the heart. We start to really feel. We start to come into the body. We realize spirituality is not about bypassing the body. It's not about ascending, but it's about really being so deeply immersed in the body that you become one with it. You start to realize, why did I even choose this body? Why did I even choose this face? What is this space speaking to me? Everything. And so in that, you start to dive deeper into what are the tools that actually move the needle for me? What are the things that, because I could learn a little bit about everything, what do I really want to develop myself in? And this brings us to stage 4, dharma development. So some people might go very deep into yoga. Some people might go deep into past lives. They might go deep into shadow work. They might go deep into whatever the thing is that is actually really resonating for them. Now, this is very important. And a lot of people I see don't make the jump between stages 3 and 4 because the internet provides us with so many different tools and perspectives that we don't go deep into levels of mastery. That's why I love how you call this mastering. We don't go deep into levels of mastery, that we kind of just touch on the shallow end for a lot of different things. But we need to really put in, because all of these tools, there's a system to it. There's a science behind it. You know, Ayurveda, it's a science. Spirituality and science were one and the same. The fact that we think of them as differently is part of the fragmented distortion that has led to this descent of consciousness. It's always been one and the same. So we start to really develop ourselves and kind of take out the noise of, yeah, there's all these things and well, maybe one day I'll learn about it, but really I'm going to focus on my practice and show up and have devotion, the way of the heart. And doesn't necessarily even need to be spiritual. It could be, I'm devoted to going to nature every single day. It could be, I'm going to be really present with my family. It could be, I'm going to be very connected to animals, but it's something that connects you to something beyond you. And this is very important because, you know, I was just in Egypt and I was in this temple called Dendera, which is the temple of Hathor, and I was overcome by the deepest grief. Like, I thought I was going to take a pretty photo shoot there, and I was just crying and crying and crying for like 30 minutes. And it was this deep sadness of how in our society now we're so alone. Like, we're in our little apartments, in our laptops and our phones, in this very small boxed life where our problems are glaring in front of us. Like, the algorithm is literally like, this problem you have, let me tell it to you again and again and again and again. And then the algorithm of life reflects that as well. And before, we would gather in temples. That wasn't like a thing you sometimes did once a year. It was the center stone of life. Spirituality was the center stone of life. It wasn't a hobby. And it made me so sad that how many of us, maybe you have felt this before, are like, am I crazy for thinking this? Am I making this up? Sometimes I've even questioned myself even now. I'm like, is this my trauma response to like deal with all the uncertainty of life, you know? And how alone so many of us feel. But it was real. Everything that you think of was real. Like, the temples were where we gathered. The entire, not just Egyptian, Mayan culture, Persian culture, African cultures, Celtic cultures, Chinese cultures. The center stone of all of these cultures was connection to something greater. They devoted their lives to build things like the pyramids and the Machu Picchu to connect to something beyond us. It was why we were here. It was our raison d'être, our reason for being. But now, again, this fragmentation has made it feel like, oh, this is just your woo-woo hobby you do on the side. Good luck. Go to a real therapist, you know? If we lose connection to something greater than us, the problems of our life will eat us alive. We need to, that's why when you go out and you take a walk, all of a sudden that thing you're stressed about doesn't hold on to you anymore. This is why spirituality is the most important thing you can devote yourself to, because life is freaking crazy. There are wars going on. There are crazy political clauses being passed. I mean, I don't need to share with you everything going wrong. I think your Instagram is doing that for you. But let me share. The truth is, the ultimate thing we can focus on in this lifetime is liberation. We are here for liberation. We are here to move past the noise and realize that everything in this life is a reflection of us. And the universe, Maya, it's I am, it's us inversed. And so what we are seeing, and this is a hard pill to swallow, my family's from Iran, where there's literally a war going on. So I'm not saying this from a place of spiritual bypass. I'm saying this from a place of whatever you focus on, the projector screen of your life will say, oh, you want to focus on this? Let me bring it more to you. And so the only way we can end war is to create peace. The only way we can end poverty is to create abundance. The only way we can end the war on mental health is to create joy. The only way that we can end anything is to create the opposite. The more we try to make that thing, the more we will perpetuate war consciousness, poverty consciousness, depression consciousness. It's literally feeding an energy that this energy creates a force field around the world. And that's what these beings are picking up on. Like, war is a consciousness. All of these things are, like, if we think about what is a deity, like a goddess, it's a thought form that is personified. Just like poverty is a thought form that is personified, just like war is a thought form that's personified. All of these things are consciousnesses that over generations of time, we have put so much belief into that they become these real things, these real like dark clouds that like follow generations until someone says, hey, you're a mirage. You're not real. And I don't choose you anymore. And it's not, after you make the choice, you got to go into the levels of karma that have been created based on this false belief. But you can literally in this lifetime have a completely different life experience simply from realizing that this consciousness, as long as it exists inside of you, will live in the world. So for example, like war consciousness is very deep in my family. My parents escaped from war. It's for generations of it. And sometimes I'll get so triggered of it too. And then I'll realize that war consciousness is not just in the planet, it's in the families. It's in the way that your dad and I think this about you. It's the way in the relationship they become enemies to one another. Oh my God, you want to talk about power dynamics? Look at relationships. These are the ways we're perpetuating these very things. Whatever we want to see an end to, we must create the opposite of. And so through this is all really in stage 4, when we start to really fine-tune our thoughts, our actions, our beliefs, the way that we're showing up. And our shadows become very prevalent for us. And it's not about not having any shadows, right? But it's about, I'm aware that that's in the field right now. Do I want to bring this on? And am I willing to take the responsibility of the void I will create by no longer having this? And then finally, that brings us into stage 5, dharma embodiment. And that is when you are being you full time. There are no more masks that you're wearing. It's not like the work me where I'm, really nice and happy. And how was your weekend? Oh, everything was great. Had some mimosas. There is no more mask. Right now, the same version of me you're getting on this camera is the same version you're getting off of this camera, is the same version that's going to talk to my mom, is the same version that's going to talk to my friends or whoever else. I'm always being me. Of course, every conversation's a little different, but there's no longer, and right now you may be in this place of like, the people in my work have no idea who I really am. My partner has no idea who I really am. I mean, over 50% of Americans say they don't feel comfortable telling their dreams to their partner because they're afraid they'll be judged. Because again, a relationship is a thought construct. So you go into this relationship, a ship, that whoever you were when you entered into it, you feel this subconscious marriage with that version of you. So you're like, I can't change too much because that's what they signed up for. And if I change too much, they're going to leave me. Mm-hmm. So now I have these new dreams and these new desires. But if I share that, they're going to say, well, what does that mean for me? And so let me not. And so you're internally becoming this different person that you're not bringing your partner along on that journey. And eventually, guys, what's going to happen is it's going to blow up in your face. That I guarantee. But most of us, we don't want to make that blow happen. So we wait and wait and wait until the universe says, oh, karma, me again? You need me to get involved? Okay, I'm pretty good at this. Let's go. And so when you're living in dharma embodiment, it doesn't mean that difficult things don't happen. It means it's no longer the energy of difficult. It's like, when you have something you need to say to a friend and it's like, oh, this is going to be a conversation. Like this is not going to be as smooth as the kind of conversations I want to have. But I know if I say this thing right now, we're ultimately going to have a much stronger friendship. How can I have more ease? Like, how can that be less of a big deal? How can I speak that thing with love? Because on the other side, it's always more growth. It's always more connection. And so when you're in dharma embodiment, I find that all areas of your life need to come into full harmony to support you living your dharma. So for me, I was, had written 4 books at that time, speaking on stage, all these things. I didn't have a problem in my marriage. There was nothing wrong, I would say, but it was not full alignment of who I had become. So the universe needed to, once my soul was ready to depart, now I can know about this undercurrent. We have things that are happening in our periphery that we will know when we're ready to address it. And so if you found out something or something big happened in your life, that means your soul was ready for it now. And that takes you into new octaves. And by the way, these 5 stages of dharma, it's not a one-time process. We continue. It's a spiral. So think of it like we have been taught to see things hierarchically, like I'm climbing up this ladder. I'm going to go from kindergarten to 12th grade. I'm going to do these steps and then I'm good. Well, spirituality, everything moves in a spiral. So I'm going to look at my relationship, then I'm going to focus on my abundance, and then I'm going to focus on my friendships, and then I'm going to focus on my home. But then I'm going to come back to the relationship from a deeper perspective. And then I'm going to circle through it. And for the rest of my life, you're going to go back to the same things you're thinking of for the rest of your life from deeper and deeper and deeper levels of consciousness. And the spiral continues. And so when we can accept that, like I remember earlier in my journey, I'm like, when are things just going to be easy? Like, don't I deserve that? This word deserve, let's throw it out of our vocabulary. It's making a lot of us like wait for this fairy tale fantasy life. That's not real. We don't deserve. No one's going to hand us anything. Sometimes we think the universe is this like sugar daddy that like, if I appease him, he's going to give me everything I want. No, it's about you are God. There's God and you're also God. You are also co-creating everything. You wrote this play, you're the director, you're the actor, you wrote the plot twist. So if you think your life's dramatic, that was the level of drama and the genre you wanted it to be. You wrote the scene, where the scenes were going to take place, all of it. And so if you don't like what's going on, first ask yourself, why did I write this? How is every single actor in my life a mirror of me? I used to think, why are all men emotionally unavailable? I don't understand it. I am so ready for true sacred union, but these men are emotionally unavailable, so there is just nothing I can do. Who is the emotionally unavailable one? Me. So I'm saying I want to be met in this deep sacred union, Shiva Shakti, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene. That is the level of love, and I'm only calling that in. But if you don't look this, that, you're on everything on my list, I'm not even going to bother. Right? So I'm being mirrored back people who are even more emotionally unavailable than I am. So the universe is like, do you see this mirror? Do you see how it feels? And then I'm like, but it's not me, it's them. Because the universe needs to show you like an extra version of yourself for you to start to notice it. So if you're like, why does everyone in my life complain? I don't know. Why were you around complainers for so long? How was that okay with you for so long? Why does everyone take advantage of me? I don't know. How did you allow that to happen for so long? It's not happening to you. It's not happening to me. We're all in the movie we designed for ourselves. And there's this beauty that comes from it. It's funny, actually, of like, my oversoul was such a drama queen. She wanted a full Bollywood saga here, And I'm like, and now I don't want it to be so dramatic anymore. Now I want more, I don't know, like just a fun, easy rom-com. Can we do that? But also not afraid when the scenes change and there's going to be a new plot twist because I'm co-creating it. There's another aspect of me that's not my ego. That's like this higher universal part of me. So it's a dance. It's a dance. If this thing happened, now how do I want to show up? So we say, well, when is life going to get easy? Can I move through ease through whatever is going on? When I stop resisting, right? It's like when you're stuck in traffic and you're like, oh my God, this shouldn't be happening. I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm meant to arrive at this time. I guess, yesterday I wanted to go to the gyms here in Canggu, Bali, where we are, but I never wear sneakers. So I went to this one gym. It was very far away. They're like, you need to wear sneakers. I'm like, what? So I went all the way to this other gym. They're like, you need to wear sneakers. I didn't even bring sneakers with me. I went all the way to this other one. And I'm like, I guess I was meant to work out at this gym at this time for, maybe I'm meant to meet someone there. Who knows? It ended up being perfect. They had a very lovely pool. So it's like when you just, whatever is going on, you just have this complete feeling of ease, because we don't control the circumstances, but we can control how we feel through them. Then the universe doesn't need to get so loud. You don't need to have such level of resistance because you're surrendered to it. And that's what surrender really is about. It's not about becoming complacent. It's about, I accept it. I accept that I created it. And now how do I choose to embody my energy towards what I want to create in my life?
Wow. I'm speechless. I have to say, I didn't have to talk much in this conversation, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all. You've taken us on a journey that really brought a lot of peace and understanding of what's going on in the experience of life, right? And I'm sure this is resonating with everybody tuning in as well, because I remembered scenes of my life. I'm evaluating how I had a perspective on why that happened or not. And everything you talk from the alchemy stages, from this dharma and how you get closer to it, it makes so much sense. And it's given me this sense of like, hey, maybe everything's okay. And I think that's one of the main reasons why so many people are interested in spirituality today, because it feels like things are not okay. But it actually feels now more, based on your definition, that this is the biggest awakening for the majority of the people, which is a collective karma that's basically saying, humanity, your guardrails are here, we need to adjust. And
thank Goddess for it.
Oh my God, right? And so one of the things you did say, since we're on a summit, everybody's coming here and they're exploring from a lot of different perspectives spirituality. I think you've given a really juicy, fantastic, comprehensive version of looking at modern spirituality. And I'd be curious for people that want to go deeper into your work, because I feel like we probably just touched the surface. You went really deep in this, in the work that you do. What are some of the things that people, if they're curious, they want to go deeper into your work, what would be the first steps you'd recommend them to do?
I would say tune into my podcast, Highest Self Podcast, where I have a lot of these conversations, and I do a lot of solo casts where I'm just channeling. So use it like an oracle. There's, 700 episodes at this point. So whatever, it's been over 8 years now. So whatever, just scroll and close your eyes and click on something will be exactly what you need to hear. And on my website as well, I have my books and quizzes you can take to discover your dharma and all of that.
Sahara, there's so much more that I know we could discuss, but I truly feel you've given us a masterclass here. And I've just been here like receiving. And honestly, it's been a privilege. It's been an honor. And I'm so grateful you've come on the summit to share so generously. I think usually I have a series of questions I've asked, but like as you're speaking, I'm like, check. You've given us some.
We were in the other realm.
Like, you've given us some ways of looking at spirituality that's so empowering, so purposeful, and it like joyful. Like it's again the peace of knowing like, oh my God, maybe this is the reason, is so calming to receive. And now there's such a powerful way for us to look at this, how to have this system you've given us as a way of looking through everything coming our way in a different light. And I think that's one of the most powerful things we can share on this summit. I'd love to give you still some space, because people are here. They might go into some of your work. They might be exploring other people's work. Would you have any closing words for anybody that's tuning in? They're going through a journey of mastering spirituality. They're listening from different perspectives. What would be some closing words you'd love to share?
This journey is a journey of consciousness. That desire that you have, the relationship, the money, the book, the fulfillment, the career, the home, the family. It's crazy because it's not actually really about that thing, but rather it is the dangling carrot that your soul created for you to go on this journey of consciousness, that only this thing that you want so badly would have made you take. And so when we realize that it's not, because sometimes we have these desires and it's overtaking for us, and it's like, I can't even chill. Like I can't even enjoy my life until I'm in that relationship, until I have this much money, until this. And we're like in standstill waiting for our own life. And when we realize that's the dangling carrot, it's always moving and it's always changing. And you might get that manifestation of that thing, but another one will appear. And so when you realize this is just a journey of consciousness, your soul signed up to incarnate at this crazy ass time for this reason, so you can go on the very unique opportunity that only this earth provides us with, which is growth. You know, they say the souls in the seventh dimension are fighting for a spot here on this planet. They're like, please get me in 2025. Oh, it's going to be a good one. You know, like they want to come here because it's only in the 3D that we have this gift of this thing called contrast. Karma, resistance, pain, dark nights of the soul. Those are where the alchemy happens. It's the only way. And I share this because I feel that you are more advanced on your path. Spirituality, like 101, feel good manifestation is like only think positive thoughts and think positive things. And like, that's just what will happen. And I think that helps people when they're so deep in karma that they're like, okay, like everything is meant to feel good. I'm just going to focus on like whatever help, because you're in pain. Like when you're in pain, you need painkillers, right? So spirituality 101 is purposely painkiller. When you go deeper into it, it's ayahuasca, you know? It's like, oh, I made all of this? What? Me? And then it becomes a lot more fun because you realize I'm here to grow. I'm here to experience contrast. Every single person here, I literally sim character made for me to have this dance with. We knew each other in a past life. We were probably in Egypt having this conversation, maybe like in a beautiful temple. I wish we were there. But we were meant to do it here because maybe back in the temple, we had like 7 initiates. And now we have, who knows, maybe thousands who are listening to this right now. It's freaking crazy. I'm looking at a black box and you're here. This is magic. We're in it. We're in the most magical time to be alive. This is the best time. Like I could cry of getting so emotional. This is the best time we can incarnate. The fact that we can have these conversations, the fact that any one of us can just become Oprah. Like we don't need to wait anymore to be chosen by the producer and maybe get on the show and, you know, work up these ranks. And they're only going to choose people that appeals to the corporations. You got this thing called an Instagram. You just swipe right. It says live. You click that little live button right there. You're Oprah. You know, you can start sharing your voice right now. There's no more barriers of entry to this. And this was for this time. And by the way, you might be thinking, well, it's too late. People, Jason's doing it. You're doing it. You know, these people are already doing it. No. Go to your local gas station and say, who knows about spirituality? See if there's one person. Go, better yet, go to the terminal at the airport and all the hundreds of people that are there. Maybe the entire airport. Say, who remembers their past lives? Who's an old soul? Who's done shadow work? Maybe 1 to 3 people will show up. I'm sharing this because this is very new. You are on the cutting edge. Just like you were on the cutting edge of things and you're like, why didn't I act on it earlier? If you're listening to this, now is the time. I'm speaking to your soul. You said, take the mic. I'm taking the mic and I'm talking to you. Okay. This is the time for you to start sharing your voice. This is the time for you to get out of your own way. This is a time for you to realize that very thing that you don't want people to know about you. I can't share about spirituality. I can't share about personal growth because I still have this problem. I'm still dealing with my ex-husband. I still have to work 2 jobs. No, that's the thing you share about. That's the very thing you share about because it's going to connect people to those who are having the exact same problem and you are just a couple steps ahead. Just like me. The only reason why I'm sharing with you what I know is because I've had all of these problems and I still have them. You know, I've just put a lot of thought into it, just like you've put a lot of thought into things. And so we actually gain more thoughts by sharing, by opening our voice, because we open up that space. And from that space, the universe is like, oh, she's actually sharing. He's actually passing the torch. Let me give you more gems. And then we go in this journey. And what's so cool, and maybe you've experienced this, is now as I go through the journey of life, different struggles, hardships, I'm like, oh, this isn't just for me. This is just the part of my memoir I'm one day going to write, you know, and help other people with. This is just the unique new situation that I'm meant to work with people on one day And so the only way I'm going to really gain mastery in this thing is for me to go through it myself. The health challenge, the divorce, the poverty, the scare. So whatever you're in right now, it's the soul curriculum. It's the way. Start sharing it. As you share it, you start to open up new ideas. You start to notice the patterns. You start to see the signs. The universe will start to support you. And then the very things that you desire start to naturally happen because the universe wants to support you to be doing the very damn thing you came here to do. And that's freaking exciting. And by the way, guys, it just keeps getting better.
Sahara, thank you for bringing every single element to the conversation. Fire, air, all of it. Honestly, it's been an absolute joy to have you. And I think you've given so much to the people that are on the summit. So on behalf of everybody tuning in, thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. Your energy that you brought into this is felt. The messages you shared with us are extremely useful for everyone. And I want to encourage everyone to go and discover more. Higher Self Podcast, we'll put some links to that as well as Sahara's website. She has programs, particularly some of you who might want to go on a journey to share this passion of yours. If it comes to spirituality, she has programs to really get you through the ropes and get you guided in the process. So definitely have a look at that and so much more from what Sahara does. And also, Discover Your Dharma, which is the book that most recent one, correct?
Yes, and I'm writing my 5th book right now, which is really all about the process of alchemy. And I have a course called Karma Clearing for the Mystic's Voice. So specifically for those of you who really want to share your voice, but you feel like you get stuck, it's karma. So yeah, come on my Instagram. I am Sahara Rose. I'm always sharing what's going on here. And if you found me on the summit, please send me a message. I would love to connect with you.
Sahara, thank you once again. This was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance. Close your eyes and listen. Surrender, let go. Surrender, let go. So trust your intuition, trust your inner wisdom, trust your inner guidance. Close your eyes.